be live. All right, we are. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Welcome along to the coverage here in Interlagos. We've got a sprint race starting in 45 minutes time, and welcome along. So, quite the exciting sprint qualifying we had yesterday. Lando Norris ended up on pole position ahead of Kimi Antonelli, who is in second place, Oscar Piastri in third, and George Russell in fourth. Fernando Alonso ended up in fifth place after topping Q2, in fact, and theoretically, if you do look at his best lap time that he could have put together if he did all of his best sectors in a row, he would have ended up on pole position. That is how good Fernando Alonso was yesterday. Unfortunately, the end of Q3, unable to hook up a perfect lap, but the Aston Martin, in the hands of Fernando Alonso, had a lot of pace. Lance Stroll, on the other hand, if he would have had his theoretical best lap time, that still would have put him in 7th position, unfortunately. But yes, Alonso would have been there on pole if it was his theoretical best. But I didn't think the fight today is going to be involving Fernando Alonso. I think this quali pace was good, race pace, maybe not so much. And the battle is, of course, going to be between Lando Norris, Kimi Antonelli, Oscar Piastri, and George Russell. And, of course, Max Verstappen, if he can overtake Fernando Alonso nice and quickly off the race start. Another thing that I would like to mention is, folks, the drivers that are starting on the right-hand side of the grid will be on the outside line for turn number 1, and the drivers who are starting on the right-hand side are the drivers with the odd numbers. So Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, they're all on the right-hand side of the grid. Antonelli and Russell are poised for a dive bomb down the inside as they start on the left-hand side, which would be well, that would be very interesting to say the least. We'll see what happens with the Mercedes. There have been quite a few speculations about what's going to go down into turn number 1, but we can never know what will happen. What is the better line to start on? Well, on the right-hand side, you do have a little bit more grip than the left-hand side, but the thing is, from the line from the starting grid in towards turn number 1, there's only a run of 200 meters, and because it's 200 meters is very, very short. You're not going to have the biggest opportunity to sort of, just actually gain on the driver ahead of you, slipstream them, and then actually make the overtake. So, yeah, that's what will happen. F1 Gamer, do you think Oscar is cracking under the pressure? I mean, Oscar wasn't really that good here last year, so I wouldn't say the pressure is affecting him, but it's also it's sort of to be expected. He wasn't good here last year. He isn't also that good here this year. But if he was cracking under the pressure, then I would have expected him to be 5 tenths back. But he's only 2 tenths back, which is an improvement off last year actually. So it's a step in the right direction. But is that step going to come early enough? Is it going to come soon enough? That is still yet to see. Any reason for Max's terrible Sector 2? Well, to be honest, Max had a pretty bad Sector 2, but overall, Max's Sector 2s just weren't great compared to the rest of the drivers. I did note, of course, during the quali yesterday, Max was getting the highest top speeds out of anyone, which means that he was running the least downforce. And as you can see, Sector 2 above me there, it is a very tight and twisty part of the circuit. Lots of slow speed corners, and for that, you're going to need a bit of downforce on your side. Max Verstappen opted to not have that sort of setup. However, he will have a car that's quicker in a straight line and should be able to pull off some overtakes. F1 Gamer, can we change setups after sprint quali? Indeed, the drivers can. They can change the setup after sprint qualifying. After the sprint race, so they can change. Yeah, so, let's say, for example, we have Charles Leclerc and he realizes that the tires aren't warming up properly during the sprint race. Then what they can do is they'll modify the setup between the sprint and qualifying to be able to change the car. But they haven't been able to change the setup from yesterday to today. It's going to be the exact same setup, which means Max is going to have a lot of top speed and, the Ferrari isn't. F1 Gamer, reason for Aston Martin doing so well in quali? Well, on some tracks they are good, some tracks they are bad. It's a little bit a little bit up in the air. Sometimes they're mostly good at circuits where you need a lot of slow speed performance, which you do have, of course, in Brazil in the middle sector. But I think Alonso is just really good at this circuit. And, again, it's one of those drivers' tracks where the drivers can have a big impact on the result because you've got such small margins for errors. When you're doing your flying lap, there's grass all around you. And let's just put it this way, that the harder the racetrack is, the better Fernando Alonso does. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, folks, if you have any of the like button, be sure to do so. I think we're going to be getting the race data coming through. Yes, we are. Okay. So 24 laps of racing around here for the sprint race. It will be 1/3 of normal race distance. We're not going to have any sort of pit stops because that is you could do a pit stop, but it would be a lot slower. So, of course, the drivers will not be doing a pit stop. They'll be making their way out onto the circuit very, very soon. And the other thing is track temperature. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. It is 25 degrees Celsius track temperature. So that is extremely cold compared to yesterday. Yesterday, we had track temperatures up at 47 degrees, I think, maybe 46 degrees at least. So we've nearly halved the track temperatures. Mark, thanks for the donation there, mate. Really is appreciated. And what was I saying? Oh yes, track temperature. So it's super duper low, which means that the McLaren's tyre advantage, the ability for them to manage their tyres much better than the other teams on the grid, is going to be a lot smaller because, of course, the tyres just won't overheat as much. This also confirms that it will be a one-stop race because, well, of course, if the track temperature is so low, you're not going to get much tyre wear. So that makes sense. But that does bring the Mercedes team closer. That also brings Max Verstappen closer. So we will probably have a four-way battle for the race win. Antonelli has some serious pace, and so does George Russell. Russell, theoretically, actually would have been quicker than Antonelli if he had got all of his sectors together, but, he didn't in the end. So not ideal there for Russell. But yeah, Russell have got pace. The Mercedes have got pace. Their race pace was also looking pretty good when they were doing their simulations on the hard compound tyre in FP1. It looked reasonably solid for the both of them. Of course, it won't be as quick as the McLarens, but of course, if they don't get the overtake done in towards turn number 1, they will have a big assistance of DRS going through turns number 3 to 4, and of course down the main straight as well. Isn't wind going to be an issue without the rain? I thought gusts of 60 to 100 kilometers per hour creates havoc, especially entering the corners. It does. And again, when I did check the weather forecast, if you go onto Google now and type Interlagos weather into Google, what happens is it comes up with an orange alert storm, and it talks about winds from, I think, up to 30 to 60 kilometers per hour and potential for rain as well. Oh no, winds from up to 60 to 100 kilometers per hour is what's on the sort of alert warning. Of course, all of these alerts are a little bit precautionary. They'd much rather send out the alert and the storm not happen rather than not send out the alert and the storm happens and people are badly affected by it. So if you do look again at if you look at the Google chance of rain, it says 20%. If you look at the BBC News chance of rain, then it's 40%. If you look somewhere else, it's probably going to say 30. So it's all a little bit up in the air, and we'll see what the FIA says. But the FIA have just said a change in climatic conditions, ladies and gentlemen. Change in climatic conditions. The last time that warning happened was when we had the Max Verstappen storm lap in Brazil. Was it last year or maybe the year before? I can't remember. But that was the last time we had the change in climatic conditions warning from race control. And track temperature is super low. The lowest that I've ever seen it at Interlagos. If we look back to last year, it was 60 degrees Celsius. And yeah, now it's down to 25. All right. Do you think Max can win this weekend? Well, if it rains tomorrow, then I think Max is certainly in with a shot. However, I think a lot of the teams now have sort of caught on to what Max is doing in terms of his wet racing lines, and all of the drivers have their own sort of personal engineer, as we know, and when they're not analysing the data, looking at race strategies and things like that, looking at setups, doing is looking at other drivers' on-board laps. They're trying to figure out, is what lines is Verstappen taking, what lines is Hamilton taking, and they're trying to see which is the quickest way around the circuit if it starts to rain. And with rain potentially on the way, I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be going back to the 2024 onboards, watching the entire race from Max Verstappen's perspective, seeing all of the different lines that he takes and seeing what he decides to do the most. And that will be a very big consideration for all of the drivers. They'll be getting told, what Max did last year, where there's a little bit more grip. But of course, these things change over time. The track may have been resurfaced, and the track hasn't been resurfaced, but there are other things that can change. For example, if it had how much rubber was deposited the day before, how much oil slick will there be from the rubber? All of those different things sort of affect the grip levels, and it's sort of down to the drivers to figure out. And that's why Max excels in those wet conditions, because wherever it is, whatever the conditions are, he can find out where the grip is and then use it. Okay. Yeah, they'll be looking at Max's 2016 Brazil onboard as well. Okay. 24 laps of racing today. Carlos Sainz starting from the back of the grid. Not great from him. Lewis Hamilton, of course, a bit unfortunate after he got eliminated after Charles Leclerc spun in front of him and brought out the yellow flags, meaning Hamilton couldn't improve. Not really great from Charles Leclerc. From his perspective, of course, he was, a little frustrated that he had messed up his quali lap, locked the brakes and gone slightly deep, but then smashing on the throttle while also having a bunch of steering lock on. He sort of knew that was going to result in a spin. Obviously, he was trying to just recover the lap and sort of do as much damage limitation as possible, but clearly not well managed, and resulted in a crash. Well, not a crash, a spin, and his teammate getting eliminated. Either way, the Ferraris didn't look all that quick yesterday, and we don't really know why. They were looking all right. They weren't looking all right in practice because they didn't actually do some soft tyre runs, but their long runs were looking pretty good. So maybe they'll fare slightly better in the sprint race. There is loads of opportunities to make some overtakes around here. What I am going to do now, folks, is going to take you through a onboard lap of the circuit. So let me get rid of my webcam and let's put on the onboard camera. Okay, so we have got the Interlagos circuit. The main thing that we're going to talk about firstly is the starting grid. So you can see here that the back of the grid starts around about here, but turn number one, the pole position slot is just a little bit further back. So, let me rewind. There we go. Okay. So that you're blasting down the main straight, and just past this MSC board, this is where pole position starts. He starts on the right-hand side of the grid. Then you've got the driver on the left-hand side who's going to be in second place. That's going to be Antonelli on the inside of Lando Norris. Lando Norris is going to have to be careful. Antonelli wants a sprint race win. He's, of course, got a podium, and, he'll be trying to get a sprint race win. We'll see if he can do so, but he has very much got an opportunity to do that. The Mercedes is fantastic in the colder conditions. Today, 22 degrees air temperature, 25 degrees track temperature. Mercedes are going to be really good. And Antonelli's in with a real shot. So Norris cannot rule out an Antonelli dive bomb to the inside, and he's got to be wary of that. He's going to maybe try and cover him off immediately. We'll see how it goes. But Norris, of course, has bodged up some race start, shall we say, from this racetrack before. Then you make your way through the Senna S. At this point, you can still go side by side through this part of the circuit, especially on lap number 1. And the inside line here will gain you a lot of time compared to a driver hanging it round the outside, because, you just have to travel so much longer. And then you open your DRS for lap. Of course, not on the opening lap, but on the second lap of the race, we'll have DRS. Super duper late onto the brakes for turn number 4, braking around the 70 meter mark. You can go on the inside curb here. It doesn't cost you too much time. However, the exit curb is a little bit risky. We did see Tsunoda crash on the exit curb yesterday, and we'll see if any other drivers have any incidents around there. Turn number 4 is quite the hot spot for drivers sending one to the inside and then pushing their rivals off the circuit. Then you hug the inside line as you go up the hill towards turn number 6. Tap the brakes, flick the car to the right, hope it sticks, and then you make your way to the slow, tight and twisty part of the circuit. You're down there in third gear, second gear, trying to get the short shifts in, trying to not get as much trying to minimize the amount of wheel spin that you've got. And then again, here for turn number 10, you have got a painted white line and then grass. You've got about 1 meter of grass, and then you've got a Pirelli barrier there on the left-hand side. The drivers will be looking to stay away from that Pirelli barrier. However, on the opening lap, if they're side by side, someone sends it to the inside. Very, very easy to misjudge your braking line and, put a wheel on the grass and could potentially ruin your race and bring out the safety car as well. Then you make your way round turn number 10. Turn number 11, easy flat in dry conditions, and then you go up the hill to turn number 12, where you just want to get a very nice exit. You've got a DRS detection point here on the exit of turn number 12, so if you're within 1 second of the driver ahead, you will get DRS going in towards turns number, going down the main straight, sorry, not any turn. And yeah, that's a lap of Interlagos, ladies and gents. Okay. Oh, let's just zoom my face in. When does a sprint start? Says there, 29 minutes and 40 seconds. Alrighty then. What should Max do to win the sprint race from P5? Well, he's going to have to make an overtake on the opening lap, ideally on Alonso and Russell, then get himself up into 4th position, and then just slowly but surely make some progress on the McLarens. It'll be tough if there's a DRS train. However, I think that, the McLaren's race pace is, I don't know, it's tough to say really if there's going to be a DRS train or not. There definitely will be for the first couple of laps. It just depends on how long that DRS train holds itself up. All right, ladies and gents, we have got drivers out onto the circuit. They are doing their reconnaissance laps. They're driving around and looking to see if the conditions are optimal for doing some racing and which tyres they would like to use for the sprint. Because, you could, with track temperatures so low, you could take a gamble on soft tyres. If you hope there's a safety car, then you could actually get away with using the soft tyres for the race because they're not going to wear out as much as they typically would when conditions are much hotter. And of course, if you spend 5 laps behind the safety car, that's a quarter, 20% of the race that you're behind the safety car. So it's not, your tires get preserved that way as well. Norris and Piastri now just making their way around the circuit because the pit lane exit is open. We'll see when the rest of the drivers make their way out as well. Okay, Hulkenberg is out onto the circuit. Brilliant, good to see. Has anyone ever crashed on the pit exit? Maybe not at this circuit, but I think drivers have crashed at the pit exit before. This circuit has got quite the long pit lane, so I would just like to clarify for anyone that doesn't know how the pit lane works here in Interlagos. The pit lane speed limit is not active for the entire duration of this grey line. The pit lane is only active from this point where Oscar Piastri has stopped all the way till just here where Colapinto's dot has just got a lot bigger. I think Stroll's is about to get bigger as well. So yeah, at that point is where the speed limit finishes, and then through this section here, through turns number 1, 2 and 3, or the bit parallel to it, the drivers can drive at whatever speed they want, and they can drive as quickly as they want. So that is the rules of the pit lane here. So the drivers aren't going to be losing 40, 50 seconds in the pits. They are just going to be losing around about 20 seconds or so, 20, 21 seconds. Okay, folks, there is no rain as of now. It has just popped off the side of the screen, but on my forecast from the FIA said there is no rain as of right now. But the clouds are rather ominous, to say the least. Is it going to rain? Well, it says 40% chance of rain on one weather website. It says 20% chance of rain on another. And the weather people at Brazil, the people at the Institute of Meteorology, have issued a orange alert warning for a thunderstorm. What about for quali? For quali, it looks around about the same. It looks a little bit less chance, to be honest, I think, raining for qualifying. So yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes. Oh no. Well, I checked BBC News, their weather forecast for Sao Paulo, and it says thundery showers, again, 45% chance. But I will check some other places and see what they say. Yeah, you look at another website and they say, oh, there's only a 5% chance of rain. So it's very unpredictable as always. In Interlagos. But the drivers are doing their reconnaissance laps. They're making their way around the circuit and they'll be parking up on the start finish. Well, yeah, they'll be parking up on the grid for their flying laps. Oh, no, not for their flying laps, for the start of the race. Okay. What tyres? Most likely it's going to be the medium tyres. The hard tyres will not be very useful whatsoever, to be honest, for today's race because it's only 24 laps. The soft tyres could be a gamble that you want to take because it would allow you to make a lot of overtakes at the start of the race. You get your tyres switched on immediately. That is another problem that we're going to have. Interlagos, it's a 4.3 kilometer long circuit. You've only got 7-8 real corners around here. Very tough to get your tyres up to temperature very quickly, especially when the track is so cold in terms of temperature. So the advantage that you get from the softs is that you'll be able to switch them on immediately. From the end of lap number 1, halfway through lap number 1, it's go time and trying to make some more moves. So, yeah. All right, folks. The pit lane exit is closed. Carlos Sainz is coming into the pits, and so is Yuki Tsunoda. Both drivers will be starting from the pit lane, ladies and gents. It looks like they have some setup changes that they want to make, and fair enough. They weren't all that competitive during yesterday's qualifying. Tsunoda, in fact, it was very unfortunate timing for him. He was like, oh, I'm feeling confident I'll be able to match Max's pace in the car. And then, well, yeah, he got eliminated in Q1. So they'll make some setup changes for Sainz and Tsunoda, and we'll see if that helps them out during the race. Okay, we got 4,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. And if you have not subscribed, be sure to do that. Let me put the subscriber goal up to 211,000 subscribers. The channel is growing at a ridiculous rate. Okay, we'll be getting the tyre information coming through in around about what's it going to be? Probably 15 minutes time. So when there's 8 minutes or so left on the clock, or maybe even a little bit less, that's when we'll get the tyre information from the engineers and the teams on what they're going to be using. Right. Okay, folks. So let me know, who do you think is going to be on the podium? Is it going to be the same top three? Lando Norris, Kimi Antonelli, and Oscar Piastri, or are we going to see Fernando Alonso up there? Are we going to see Max Verstappen make it up onto the podium? Of course, for the sprint race, it is 8 points, then it is 7 points, and then it is 6 points for the drivers in first, second, and third. And also, I would like to ask a quick question here, ladies and gents. Now that the championship is really hotting up, would you prefer that this, where the speed traps are, for during races, during sprint races, during actual races, would you prefer if I just had the championship standings up there, or would you still like to see the speed traps? Because I think the championship standings towards the end of the season might be a little bit more important. So do let me know what if you would prefer that. And I will, I'll make it change. Okay. I think a few people have got around a 50-50. Okay, I'll just make a poll. I'll make a poll and I'll decide later on. So, speed trap or standings. Okay, you guys can just vote in the poll, and then we'll have a decision made there. Everyone should know the standings. Yeah, I mean, we'll have a look at the standings right now. They're up on my screen. We've got 357 points, for Lando Norris. 1 point behind is Oscar Piastri, and 35 points behind Oscar Piastri is Max Verstappen. So Max is ideally, going to have to win this race, gain maybe an extra 2 or 3 points on the McLaren drivers, but it's going to be a tall order with Lando Norris starting in the lead. What did he do when he started in the lead in Mexico? Drove off into the sunset and won by the biggest margin that we have seen this season. It was quite incredible, to be honest, how big of a margin it was at the end of that race. Of course, the VSC did change things up a little bit. Also, I was pretty annoyed, to be honest, that Carlos Sainz brought out the yellow flag, brought out the VSC, but I guess in a way that he helped out both of his former teammates. He helped out Charles Leclerc, and it was someone else that I have now forgotten. But yeah. Okay. Can Oscar win the sprint? Yeah, I mean, he's starting behind Lando Norris, so he can try go around the outside. I think what's going to happen here, folks, is that Norris is going to try and chop across Kimi Antonelli as soon as he can, because if Antonelli does get a nose ahead, or even if he's half a car width alongside Norris, he's sending one down the inside. There's no other thing about it. Antonelli will send one down the inside, and Norris will have to yield position in order to think about the championship. And because Piastri knows, or most likely the thing that's going to happen is Norris chops across, Piastri could be like, right, well, if these two are going to go to the inside, I might try and go around the outside. That could be a risky thing, of course. If those two collide, then Piastri also gets taken out. Or Piastri can try to do the switchback. He can see that both these drivers go deep into turn 1, and then through the center S, he gets a better exit, and then overtakes them both in towards turn number 4. There's loads of different permutations, but Piastri's definitely got the pace. In terms of quali pace, he wasn't on par with Lando Norris, but during the race pace sims, he was actually sometimes even quicker than Lando Norris. So pretty good going there from Oscar. All right. We've got around a 50-50 between speed trap and standings, so I think I'll keep it for now. I think we'll keep the speed traps for now, and then what we'll do is, for the final 3 races or 2 races, when the championship is literally going right down to the wire, I'll switch it then, because I think at that point it'll be a lot more important. Okay. To be fair, yeah, everyone sort of knows where the driver standings are anyway, so it's not really the end of the world. But it would, of course, update with, it would be the standings that would update with the positions on the racetrack, rather than just having the standings up there like I've currently got on the screen. And then quickly just looking at the Constructors' Championship, you can see that RB are there in 6th position, and they're only 3 points ahead of Aston Martin. And Aston Martin had quite a good quali today, yesterday, and they probably will have quite a good quali today as well. 5th and 7th position for Alonso and Stroll. That should give them sufficient points to get ahead of RB if Hadjar and Lawson can't make up some places. And the battle for 6th position is really hotting up. Haas, unfortunately, they had a really good weekend in Mexico, but Behrman and Ocon 15th and 18th position for them. And Kick Sauber there with 60 points in 9th place. They are also in 10th and 14th. Not the best performance from them this weekend either. The Ferrari-powered cars are all struggling a little bit, to be honest. They're all sort of down on top speed for some unknown reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but yeah, you can see that we haven't got a Ferrari-powered car in the top 7. Okay, yeah. With Max's downforce, which turns is it possible to get overtakes? Max is running lower downforce than the rest of the competition, so overtakes into turn 1, turn 4 will be his best opportunity, with a slipstream, of course, down the start, finish straight. F1 Gamer, is there any better way to donate so YouTube doesn't take a huge cut from it? I haven't actually set that up yet. There might be a link in the description to a Buy Me a Coffee. There's a link to a channel membership, I think. But I'll set something up soon. If there is a link somewhere there in the description that's got... Let me just check. yeah, if you press the email newsletter sign up link, there's a place where you can donate there if you want to. But no, I really do appreciate everyone that has become a channel member. We've got now, I think, 120 or 130 channel members, so it really does go a long way to helping out the channel, folks. And because of that, we've got this nice webcam, we've got this 2 laptops here, a monitor, a mic. So yeah, big thank you to everyone. And yeah, everyone that hits the like button as well goes a long way to keeping the channel going. Alrighty, the wind is a little bit gusty. It's not too intense right now. It's only 6 kilometers per hour, 6 to 9 kilometers per hour, and shouldn't be too much of a concern for the drivers, to be honest. Yeah. Track temperature, however, will be. Can Max win the sprint? What do you think? Well, I'd appreciate if you didn't spam, buddy, but Max could win the sprint. Like, if I knew Max was going to win the sprint, I would have put a pretty big bet on it. So, yeah. Is it raining? No, ladies and gents. No, it is not. There is a 40% chance of rain, apparently, but these weather predictions at Interlagos are never the most accurate thing in the world. Okay, yeah. Is there anything else to talk about? Yeah, Bortoleto, it's his home Grand Prix, of course. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Brazilian fans out there in the stands cheering him on. Unfortunately, he did get out-qualified by his teammate, which is a bit of a surprise, really, because Bortoleto has been beating Hulkenberg most of the time this season. And yeah, we'll see what Bortoleto can do. Hopefully, he can score some points today, or if not today, tomorrow, because I'm sure his home fans would love that one. It's been a while since we've had a Brazilian driver in Formula 1, actually. I think we had Felipe Massa was the last one, if I remember correctly. But do let me know if there was someone else I missed. And of course, Felipe Drogovic, everyone was hoping that he would drive instead of Stroll on a few occasions, but I think it was Felipe Massa. Okay. We'll be getting the team radios coming through very soon as well now. 15 minutes till the start of the Grand Prix. Few other things to run through. Pierre Gasly was looking really good actually yesterday, but his pace sort of fell flat. He was looking, in terms of his actual raw pace in Q1, it was looking brilliant. That was partially, of course, down to the track evolution, but Gasly always has a good race around here in Sao Paulo, and he's had a few podiums here as well, and it would be good to see Alpine back up there. Of course, they've got the least number of points out of any team, and Colapinto, in fact, has not scored any points yet. He has been re-signed for 2026, but we shall see how that goes and how long that lasts. Oh, is Pietro Fittipaldi the last Brazilian driver? Fair enough. Thanks for the info. Is Ferrari going to hire Behrman? Well, people have been saying that Ferrari are going to hire Behrman in 2027, but to be honest, it's still a long way out, and they will not be signing any sort of contract this early on. Behrman has shown some really good promise, and on numerous occasions has out-qualified Esteban Ocon, but, he's got to fill some pretty big shoes out there at Ferrari and go head-to-head with Charles Leclerc, which will be a pretty tough challenge. I watch your live stream on my bed. It's actually really cozy. Who have you got as your champion this year? Well, as of right now, Norris is looking pretty strong, but I would never count out Max. And, well, I don't really know about Piastri. Piastri's odds are sort of going down. So if I had to pick one, I would. I think I'd go with Norris just because of the fact that he's on form and he's also now the championship leader. But I would. I'd be happy to be surprised. Let's put it that way. It would be interesting to see a very, right now it seems the most predictable thing is probably Norris is going to win, but I'd like to have some sort of unexpected things happen in the season. Which VPN? Folks, if you do want to watch the Formula 1 coverage, there's a link in the description to Surfshark VPN. You join an Austrian VPN server, you go onto Google and search ORF F1, and then you enjoy the Formula 1 coverage. So that's how you do it. And if ORF isn't working for you, you join a Swiss VPN server and you search SRF F1 and watch it that way. Yeah. Okay. Okie dokes then, we have got 11 minutes now till the start of the sprint race. 5,000 people watching the live stream, very much is appreciated, folks. Hope you're all enjoying the coverage, and well, let's get underway for this Grand Prix very, very soon. 24 laps of racing around here. We should be expecting the medium tyres. Risk of rain from the FIA actually is 30%. So the FIA has said 30%. Some of the news websites are saying 40. Some of the other news websites are saying 20. But we do have a chance of rain here, ladies and gents. And well, that would make things really, really exciting indeed. The weather radar did show that the rain clouds were about 10 kilometers out, and they showed that about 20 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago. So with the fact that the wind speed is approximately 12 kilometers per hour, it sort of suggests that maybe towards the end of the sprint race, the rain clouds may blow over onto the circuit. But we've still got a little bit of time, and of course it depends on which direction the wind is blowing. All right. Max says his car wasn't turning, so that might be the reason for P6. Yeah, it wasn't turning in the slow speed corners. That's where he needed it. And in Sector 2, his times were 3/10 off the McLarens. And, well, it was 3/10 off the McLarens in just one sector alone, and that sort of explains why he's down there in 6th position, even behind Fernando Alonso. So we'll see how that goes for Max Verstappen. Maybe with the slightly lower temperatures, he'll have a bit more grip and be able to rotate the car better, but it could also be the opposite as well. What if Stroll becomes the prime Ayrton Senna today? Well, that would be good to see. But given Stroll's record here last year, he crashed on the formation lap when it was wet, so I wouldn't be crossing my fingers and hoping for that one. He might be bringing out the safety car though. Okay, just to quickly point out, you can see there Sonoda and Sainz, they're starting from the pit lane. They're making some setup changes to their car because they weren't happy with it yesterday. And we'll be getting the team radios coming through shortly. And alrighty. Please take out Norris and Piastri. I mean, you know, if Norris and Piastri got taken out like they did in the sprint race last weekend, the last sprint race that we had in COTA, then, well, that would be very good for the championship, let's put it that way. It would bring Max very much into contention, and then it'll be a three-way fight, rather than it's sort of a two-way fight right now with Max sort of lurking in the distance. This weekend is probably make or break for Max Verstappen. He's going to need to gain probably, I'd say, well, look, the points gap now is 36 points to Lando Norris. There are 4 races remaining. Of course, 2 of them are sprints, so he needs to gain, on average, 9 points every single weekend to close the gap to Lando Norris. So his aim for this weekend, gain 10 points, gain 11 points, and, well, we'll see what he can do. Of course, if Max gets, if he wins the race, by default, he's going to gain at least 7 points on Lando Norris, because he'll be up in first with 25 points, and second place is 18 with 7 points, with a 7-point difference. So, yeah, we shall see how that goes for Max. And, yeah, but this weekend's make or break. Otherwise, if the championship gap gets bigger, then Max probably does not have any sort of shot of winning the championship. All right. Looks like we're getting some radio checks coming through as well. Yeah, we've got Nico Hulkenberg with a radio check. Yeah, I'll move my face shortly once we are on the way for the formation lap. Okay. What do you think about Hamilton getting podium this year? Well, I mean, I don't really know. The Ferrari is not looking good this weekend, or at least it isn't looking good for the sprint race. So if they can turn it around for the actual qualifying, for the actual race, then maybe. But if we look at the next few races, we've got Las Vegas, we've got Qatar, and we've got Abu Dhabi. And Hamilton hasn't really ever done well around Las Vegas. He has never really raced much in Qatar, sort of in his prime, and in Abu Dhabi he can do pretty well. But yeah, it's looking unlikely, and I think Hamilton has at least, I'm not sure of this stat, I think Hamilton has got at least 3 podiums every single year of his career. It might be even 4 podiums, I can't remember the exact stat, but Hamilton has got a podium every single year of his career, and he's also got more than, I think it's either 3 podiums or 4 podiums every single year, and this year, well, it's looking like that is going to get broken, and only Ferrari can do that. To be honest, only Ferrari can take a world champion driver and break all of his records in the wrong way. Is it 5? Okay, 5 podiums per year. So in every single year, Hamilton has got at least 5 podiums, and yeah, it's that record is now broken with Ferrari because, well, now there's only 4 races left, so he can't get 5 podiums. Okay. We'll see if Ferrari have to do more lifting and coasting. It shouldn't be too much of a problem with the lower track temperatures here and air temperatures as well. This circuit does have super long straights as well, so that should help with their engine management issues. Okay, 5 minutes now till the start of the sprint race. We're getting the tyre information coming through shortly. However, I suspect it will be medium tyres for everyone. Again, I'd like to say Isaac Hadjar, quite the good performance from him. He's, well, much higher up than his teammate Liam Lawson, and he'll be looking to try and get up there in the points. Alrighty. Colapinto out before summer or after? Well, Colapinto's still got a lot of money, and as we know, money does talk in Formula 1. Just ask Lance Stroll. So, I think he might even stay for the whole of 2026. I think the only time he would get replaced if Alpine were competitive and Colapinto wasn't delivering results. You know, in that situation, he would probably get replaced. But if Alpine are just a midfield team and they're sort of... tyre information. Soft tyres for Antonelli and Russell and Verstappen. Oh my goodness me. Okay, so I did say this a little bit earlier on. As you can see there on the slightly to the left of me, track temperature 25 degrees Celsius. So that means that we're not going to have as much tyre wear as we normally do, and the teams are going to be taking a gamble on the softs. They're going to be hoping that the soft tyres can last 24 laps. They're also going to be hoping for a safety car, because let's say we get a safety car for 5 laps behind out of 24. That's more than 20% of the race that is behind the safety car, and the drivers can just conserve their soft tyres as much as they want to. And yeah, a little bit risky there for Antonelli and Russell. They are 6-lap-old soft tyres already. Of course, that's only 2 flying laps. That's 2 out laps, 2 in laps, and 2 flying laps. But regardless, that's still a reasonable amount of tyre wear on those tyres. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one for them to make those tyres last till the end. But does it matter? They are just going to send one to the inside of Norris. The drivers will gain approximately, I think it's 2.4 meters, I think, off the line, just because their soft tyres are more grippy than the mediums. So 2.4 meters, which is around about half a car length that they'll gain on the McLaren drivers, just like this, for free, because their tyres are more grippy, as long as, of course, they warm up their tyres properly. So let's wait and see. Right, I am going to move myself over here, and yeah, we've got the team radios just there below me, and so you guys can have a look at that. And let's get going now, folks. This is going to be super duper exciting, especially with these split tires. Typically, you know, the sprint is always a little bit predictable because everyone is on the exact same tires, so that everyone's got the same amount of tire wear. But this weekend, of course, that is no longer the case. Is there any rain? No rain, ladies and gentlemen, no rain. It's the rain, if it does arrive, it's going to be very much at the end of the sprint race. The rain clouds are still around 5 kilometers away, or 5 kilometers away or so. The clouds are looking reasonably ominous, but it is what it is, and we'll see if rain happens. But I don't think we're going to even need rain for it to be exciting. Just this split tyre strategy is going to make it pretty interesting regardless. Carlos Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda in 19th and 20th position. They'll be starting from the pit lane on a set of medium tyres. Liam Lawson, Esteban Ocon are in 17th and 18th, and they'll be looking to get closer to their teammates. Franco Colapinto, after getting re-signed for 2026, qualifies in 16th position. Ollie Behrman, after his 4th place in Mexico, unfortunately could not carry on the success and is down in 15th position. Gabriel Bortoleto at his home Grand Prix, starting in 14th place on a set of medium tyres. Pierre Gasly, who got a podium here last year with the Alpine team, is starting in 13th place. He was looking pretty good in Q1. The pace stopped materialising in Q2. Alex Albon is starting a race on a fresh set of soft tyres there in 12th position. He'll be looking to make up some places on Hamilton and Hülkenberg off the race start. Then we've got Hamilton, of course, who got eliminated out of qualifying due to a yellow flag caused by his teammates. Very unfortunate, to say the least, and we'll see what he can do there. Of course, Ferrari, Leclerc's on the soft, Hamilton's on the mediums. The drivers probably had a pretty big say on which tyres they wanted to use. Hamilton chose for the mediums to go to the end of the race without too many tyre struggles. Hülkenberg starts in 10th place, Isaac Hadjar in 9th, Charles Leclerc in 8th position. We've got Lance Stroll in 7th. This is now the 39th time in a row he has been out-qualified by Fernando Alonso. We've got Max Verstappen in 6th place, Fernando Alonso in 5th. Ladies and gentlemen, Alonso, if yesterday he hooked up his best Sector 1, 2 and 3, that would have put him on pole position. He would have been 3 milliseconds quicker than Lando Norris. That is how good Fernando Alonso was yesterday. Unfortunately, couldn't put the lap together, but he's starting the race today on a set of medium tyres in 5th position. George Russell in 4th place on a set of softs, looking to go down the inside of Piastri at turn 1. Piastri there on the mediums. He's playing the long game, and we'll see if it pays off for him. Kimi Antonelli on the 2nd place is starting on the left-hand side of the grid with a set of soft tyres, looking to dive down the inside of Lando Norris. Norris will be positioning his car, angling it over to try and chop off Kimi Antonelli as soon as he possibly can. We're going to have the formation lap start in 14 seconds time, and then we will have the race getting underway very, very soon. Okay. So here we go then. Let me get rid of this countdown timer, and the formation lap is underway, ladies and gents. Okay. So, also another thing I'd like to point out, Max Verstappen has got the lowest downforce setup out of the entire grid. He's got the most top speed out of anyone, so he'll be looking to slipstream and overtake a few drivers down the straight. Why is there such a big gap between Alonso and Russell? I'm not exactly sure, but all the drivers now trying to get those tyres warmed up. There's only 4.3 kilometers of this racetrack, not too many corners as well, so the drivers have to do their tyre warm-up procedure to perfection. What about Max Verstappen's grid penalty? Folks, grid penalties don't apply during sprint races. They'll get applied during the race. And also, when did Max get a grid penalty? I'm not... I should probably check if he has one. But they don't apply during the sprint race. They apply during the actual race if he was to get one. But all right. We have got 24 laps of racing here. The soft tyres are going to be a bit of a struggle to make it to the end. I don't think Max has a grid penalty. So I don't know what it... Maybe he has got one. I've honestly forgot. I've been very busy with university work. So I will double check and I'll get back to you guys. Oh, engine swap. Okay. Fair enough. Well, yeah, all of those penalties apply during the actual race rather than the sprint race. Oh no, that was last year. Oh, I saw that one. The YouTube algorithm posted, the YouTube algorithm made this short blow up that was a year old that Max was getting a grid penalty. But no, he took a grid penalty here last year, which was 5 places for an engine. But this year he hasn't got one. Clarify there, folks. Max Verstappen has not got a grid penalty here in 2025. Okay, we have got 24 laps of racing about to get underway here in Interlagos. Folks, I would like to remind you the drivers who are starting on the with odd numbers as their starting position are on the right-hand side of the grid. The drivers with even numbers are starting on the left-hand side of the grid. And also, there are some pretty big damp patches here on the circuit. Oh my god, what is Russell doing? Russell is driving all over the damp patches as he's doing his warm-up procedure. That is going to kill his tyre temperature. That's not ideal for Russell. Of course, he's on softs, which is a bit of a saving grace, but all of the drivers avoiding the damp patches on the circuit. It did rain a little bit earlier on, and the drivers have also decided the soft tyres, they're better in these sort of slightly damp conditions. So Here we go, folks. Slightly damp conditions. It is not raining right now. It is maybe forecast to rain towards the end of the sprint, but we do not know for certain. Tsunoda and Sainz enter the pit lane. They're starting from the pits. We have got the final two cars approaching the grid, and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights. It is lights out and away we go. Norris gets a really good start. Piastri trying to go around the outside. There's a lot of water there on the outside. Is it going to go well for him? Verstappen looks like he's up into 5th position. Good start there from Max. And Lando Norris leads the way out through turns number 2 and 3 in towards turn 4. Let's see how he copes. And Tsunoda and Sainz leave the pit lane from the back of the grid. All right, Antonelli there in second, Piastri in third, Russell in fourth. The top 4 stay as they were. Verstappen gets ahead of Fernando Alonso. Russell and Antonelli both weaving left and right, trying to get those tire temperatures up. It is extremely cold. Oh, we got a double yellow. Behrman's had a problem, but he's continued on. So I think it was just a spin between Behrman and someone else. He must have had some sort of contact. And here we go then. Norris. Folks, DRS will be enabled on the following lap. So Norris has got to break that 1 second gap, but he's not doing so. He has got one corner left, turn number 12. He has to gain 1/10 on Antonelli to be able to break the DRS. Will he be able to do it? Behrman had contact with one of the drivers going through turns number 4 and 5. That's why he's spun. That's why he's dropped down a few positions. But he continues on without too much major damage. All right. Antonelli is within DRS range of Lando Norris. Here is the DRS detection point just to the left of me there. You can see that, the FIA not going to enable DRS because it's slightly damp. That is, that's interesting. Typically, they don't do that, but, typically they do that. So I guess DRS is being not enabled just yet. Antonelli is still on Norris's tail. I don't think it matters because he is looking really, really racy. These soft tyres have been so switched on. The medium tyres, not so much. The track is extremely slippery once you go off the racing line. So now this is a very tough one here for Norris. Does he go off the racing line to defend against Antonelli, potentially getting his tyres into a bunch of water, into a damp patch, and then losing a bunch of grip? Or does he allow Antonelli to do that? So typically, normally you defend to the inside, but in these sort of changeable conditions where you've got water on the inside line and the normal racing line is dry, you wait for your opponent to go to the inside line. Norris gets an incredible drive out of the final sector. Antonelli makes a huge mistake. Piastri's now all over the back of him. In towards turn number 1 they go. Piastri is gaining, and DRS has been enabled on this lap here, ladies and gents. You can see it's just been enabled, and Antonelli has not got DRS on Lando Norris. That is quite interesting. As soon as Norris was outside of the 1 second gap, DRS got enabled. But it doesn't really matter because Norris again made a mistake through the center S, and Antonelli is within DRS range again. Charles Leclerc, what a first sector. He was so close to actually gaining on Alonso, decided to back out of it just before he went for the move. It's 7th and 8th position for the 2 Ferrari drivers. All right, here they go through the middle sector then. 1.2 seconds is the gap now. In the middle sector, the McLarens are just so strong. Their slow speed performance is just so much better than the rest of the grid. We'll see what they can do through the straights, though. Looks to be a little bit down on power. Well, a little bit down on top speed, shall we say, not power. They've of course got the same one. Is it raining? Still not raining, folks. It is damp. There are wet patches over the circuit. There is a little bit of spray being thrown around, but it is not raining. Piastri has got DRS now on Antonelli. Antonelli is well behind Lando Norris, and as long as Norris doesn't make another mistake, it will be A-okay for him. So the quickest drivers, we've got some pretty big slipstreams going on, actually, and we've got quickest through the speed trap is Nico Hülkenberg. Through the start-finish straight, though, it was Alex Albon, actually. Yeah, very, very quick indeed. So here comes Oscar Piastri now. He's looking to stay on the back of Antonelli. Antonelli was actually quicker than Piastri by about 0.5 on the last lap in the middle sector, but 0.5 really isn't that big of a margin, and a little mistake here and there, a little short shift and things like that, then Antonelli will fall into the grips of Oscar Piastri. However, it looks like that's just not happened because Piastri's just made a mistake. Oh my goodness me, everyone's making mistakes here. And Verstappen, in fact, not able to get close to George Russell. All of the top 6 now are within bigger than 1 second gaps. Nobody's within DRS range. Charles Leclerc's in 7th, trying to overtake Fernando Alonso, but Alonso, as we know, is pretty good at defending here. Okay, let's see. Gasly's up 2 positions, Hamilton's up 3, and Colapinto's also up 2 positions. There was a collision between Behrman and Lawson. That was the 2 drivers that collided at the start of the race. We'll see if any sort of any penalty gets handed out for that one. But they're both in 16th and 18th position, so I don't think it matters too much. All right, Antonelli purple in the first sector. Look, he's quick in the first sector. He can keep that gap to Piastri just over 1 second. However, he's not really closing up that significantly on Lando Norris. Lawson says, mate, this kid pushes me onto the grass. And yeah, Lawson, of course, isn't too happy about that one. All right. Yeah, Lawson, usual suspect. Yeah, I mean, it is sort of... Lawson does quite often get involved in these sort of things, doesn't he? Okay, we are on lap number 5 of 24 of the sprint race here in Sao Paulo, and Albon is looking pretty quick through the middle sector, actually, trying to get onto the back of Pierre Gasly. He's, of course, on those soft tyres, fresh soft tyres for him, and the thing I'd like to point out here, ladies and gents, is that Antonelli is on the soft, which means that they're going to wear out pretty soon, and you know, in 3 laps time. Oh, wait, is this Piastri's GPS is broken? Or is Piastri's crashed? Oh my goodness me, Piastri's out. No! The championship has just been thrown wide open in Lando Norris's favour. There's been a collision between the Sauber and the Alpine and Piastri. What? How's that even happened? Piastri was nowhere near a Sauber and Alpine. What is going on? Oscar Piastri has crashed. This is an extra 8 points to Lando Norris for the World Championship. The gap was 1 point right now. It's now gone to 9 points if Lando Norris wins this race. The safety car is out. The soft tyre runners have been saved, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they needed to make it till the end of the race without too many issues. The safety car's out. We've got a replay here of Piastri going through turns number 1, 2, and 3 over the curb, and oh my god, he just touches the curb and there's water on the curb. It's rule number 1 of wet racing. Do not touch curbs. They're just full of water. Then Hülkenberg behind him makes the exact same mistake, and then Colapinto also crashes as well. 3 drivers crash at the Senna S. I think they get told over the radio there's a yellow flag or something, and they get slightly distracted. Hülkenberg manages to continue going, but Piastri is out, and so is Colapinto. What? Oh my god, Piastri may be then cracking under the pressure. Folks, I'm just going to show you a quick replay what Piastri did. So in towards turn number 1, we go. Oh, let me skip forward to the right bit. Okay, so you're going through turn number 1. He avoids this curb successfully. Then going through turn 2, he also avoids this curb. But here, this is the point. This curb sort of is slightly angled upwards. What does that mean? The rain sort of collects right on the corner where that white line is. That's where there's the big puddle of water. Piastri drives over the puddle of water and crashes. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, red flag. What? Why have we red flagged it? Right, well, we've got a red flag out now, folks. Piastri looks pretty distraught, and well, he's got into the medical car and or the safety car, or yeah, no, it's the medical car actually, and he's going back to the pits. But Norris hit the curb and a lot of water went online. Oh, interesting. So Antonelli coming over the radio saying that Norris is bringing extra water onto the racing line. Maybe that was on purpose, maybe not, but interesting tactics there from Lando Norris. I guess it maybe worked. You know, he spun out his teammate because there was water on the racing line, but you know, it was also a mistake from Piastri's part. He's just driven onto a curb, a wet curb, where it's slanted. The drivers walk around the circuit for this exact reason. They can look at the exact details of each and every curb, each and every part of the racing line. They see that this curb is angled, so the water falls on it, it collects right at the corner, and then he crashed. What can I say, guys? What can I say? Red flag is out, though, so Max is going to be pretty happy about this one. He gets another opportunity for a race start, trying to now get ahead of Russell and Antonelli. Of course, Russell and Max Verstappen is quite the exciting battle, but we're here on lap number 8 of 24. We've got 17 laps remaining of this race. Ooh, must be the water, ladies and gentlemen. Must be the water. Wow. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It goes a long way to helping out the channel. We've got 20,000 people listening to the live stream. Really is appreciated, and hope you are all enjoying the coverage. I'm going to be commentating the qualifying later today. I'm also going to be commentating the race tomorrow. It's going to be pretty good here, right? Yeah, we've got another replay of Oscar Piastri. He goes over the curb a little bit for turn 1, but it's not too bad there. And yeah, just a huge amount of water on the curb. What can I say? It is absolute cinema indeed. And, I've actually got a Piastri meme somewhere. This is Piastri's face right now. Wait, let me... It's absolute depression for Charles Leclerc, probably. They're in 6th position but this is Piastri right now. Yeah. Championship has now... Wait, let me put this championship standings up. Give me a sec, folks. Championship standings... So if the race was to finish in this position, we would get Norris with an extra 8 points, Verstappen gaining 5, and Piastri gaining 0. Yeah. Okay. Must be the water. Will anyone change tyres? I think the drivers are allowed to change tyres under red flag conditions. So, yeah. We got a replay here for Colapinto. Colapinto does the same thing. Colapinto does the same thing as Piastri, and he crashes. What can we say? I mean, we've been talking about Colapinto not being the best driver in the world for the majority of the season, and Oscar Piastri goes and does the exact same mistake at him. Piastri's got his head in his hands, and there's really not anything that he can do to recover the situation now, apart from win tomorrow's race. Is it raining? Let's have a look. I can't really tell from the camera, but I guess I can also make myself a little bit bigger, because now there's no team radio. Well, all the drivers are in the pits, so I will get a timer going once the FIA say when the session's restarting. But the drivers are now out of the cars. So what this means is that typically it's going to be a little bit longer than 10 minutes. We've got still some drivers in the car. Bortoletto is still sat in the car. Norris is out of the car, though, and they will give a 10-minute warning of when the session will be restarted. Can they put new tyres on? I think they can. The question is, do they have enough new tyres? They could put on a fresh set of softs. Norris could do that, but then he'll have less tyres for qualifying later today, which could then compromise him and cause some problems. So is it going to be Max versus Norris to the World Driver Championship? Well, the thing is, Verstappen has got to gain 9 points on Lando Norris to win the championship. It doesn't matter about Piastri right now. He's still got to gain 9 points every single race to then beat Lando Norris in the championship. And, he's still behind him. Verstappen's in 4th, Norris is in 1st. So, all right. Is the car too damaged for qualifying? No, it's not major damage there for Piastri. He just cannot take part in the rest of this race. Yes, so they will be able to repair it. As you can see there at the top, there is a 3 hours and 40 minutes till the start of quali, which means that, the McLaren engineers will be able to sort out the car. They'll be able to put on the spare parts, and they should be okay. Why is there a red flag? Could have been a safety car almost. Yes, it could have been a safety car. However, what they wanted to do, they had pretty much 3 cars crash into the exact same barrier, and the risk of a barrier being damaged quite severely because of that is pretty high. Like, they weren't specifically high impact crashes, but still, it is the FIA's responsibility to make sure that those barriers get checked. If 3 drivers have crashed there, it's quite likely that, on the safety car restart, or on the race restart, someone else is going to crash. So they do need to check if those barriers are in good condition. And yeah. But Colapinto and Piastri out of this race. They're both, Piastri's fine. Like, he's just obviously not very happy about the championship situation. Okay. But, on the race restart, folks, it's going to be a standing start. It will be a standing start. And what that means is Antonelli has another opportunity to just wham one down the inside of Lando Norris and, well, potentially collide. So it's not done just yet for Lando Norris. They could still have another double DNF in a sprint race like we had in COTA. So that could happen. Okay. When will the race begin, folks? I would love to give you a time, but race control has not given me a time. So I'm just going to be guessing sort of into thin air. I'm pretty good at sort of guessing the race restart times, but as of right now, no clue whatsoever. It's probably going to be, I would say, give it 10 minutes. Give it 10 or 15 minutes, and we should get a restart. I do apologize for the delay, and in fact, I should probably message my friend, because I said I was going to go see my friend, and, well, now I'm going to be late, so yeah. Give me a sec, folks. Okay. What happened to Piastri? He crashed. Okie dokes. Yeah, I'll quickly just bring up the standings. In fact, I'll just keep them up there for right now. All right. When will it restart? Folks, I will stop covering up the radio messages once, the race actually restarts and we get some important radio messages coming through. But as of right now, not much. Behrman's come over the radio, said that's typical Lawson. Both drivers just just throwing huge shade at each other. And they're like, oh, typical, how has this guy just gone and done this? It looks like the barriers are in good condition. The marshals, both cars have now been taken off the side of the track. Piastri is just looking disappointed, and yeah, he's gonna need a reset. But we've been saying that for a few races now. He's gonna need to reset, go again, look to improve. The Sauber engineers are trying their absolute best to get Nico Hülkenberg back out onto the race. They're going to have to replace his rear wing, which is actually quite the big structural component here. It's a bit of a challenge to replace, but they'll be doing their best to do it as quickly as they can. Typically, how sort of a normal road car works is that you have a chassis, sort of a metal frame, whatever, and then all of the parts of the car get bolted on to the chassis. Whereas in a Formula 1 car, the front half of the car is sort of typical, you've got a chassis, things get attached onto it. But towards the rear of the car, what they do is they combine the engine, the gearbox, and the rear wing all into one sort of mega component. And there's no real chassis at the back of a Formula 1 car, which means that if you get a rear impact, let's say the back of the car smashes into the barrier, then there's a lot more repairing work to do. It takes a lot longer. Whereas, on the front of the car, if you break, let's say the front left suspension, then, you just replace those 4 or 5 parts, job done. Whereas the back of the car, much more difficult, takes a lot longer. Why is the red flag raised? Because they've got to check all of the barriers before we go racing again. Any time start update? Unfortunately not, folks. Unfortunately not. I will give you one. Do you think it's enough to justify Inter's? No. If we look at the rain, it still says no rain, and also it says no rain, and the other thing is that it's just not going to rain all that much, at least as of right now, by the looks of it. The rain was meant to arrive later in the end of the sprint race, but of course now that we've got a red flag, it may actually arrive during the sprint race as well. So we'll see. Will quali be delayed? No, quali will not be delayed. As you can see there, we've still got 3 hours till qualifying, so that should not be a issue. Okay. Well, I'll have a quick look at. Let's see on the team radio. Actually, is there any team radio about when the race is going to restart? No, they will get a 10-minute warning. So I will give you guys a 10-minute warning when race control gives me a 10-minute warning. But yeah, they haven't said anything just yet. Oscar Piastri bottled a 100-point lead. Well, he had a 100-point lead on Max. He didn't have a 100-point lead on Norris, but regardless, he has thrown away a lot of points. That DNF in Baku was very much avoidable. The anti-stall at Baku was very much avoidable. This crash, again, avoidable. If he hadn't crashed into, or if he hadn't taken such an aggressive line at Kota on the sprint race, again, more points that he could have got on the board. So not ideal, is it? Race restart, folks. We have got the race restarting in 10 minutes time, right? Let's put the timer up on the screen. Race is going in 10 minutes. Race restart. And here we go. All right. Here we go then, folks. 10 minutes. How would they know 10 minutes till the barriers are fixed? The barriers are already fixed now. They just have an extra 10-minute buffer time because all of the drivers are now, they're all sort of just standing around in the garage. They've got to get back. They've got to put their balaclavas, helmets back on and everything. And they've got to get back in the cars. So that's why they give them a 10-minute warning to get everything sorted out. Folks, the order for the restart, we are going to have Lando Norris in... I think the order for the restart is actually pretty self-explanatory. It's just the order that we've currently got right now. Yeah. The order on the screen is the order that the race will be restarting in. Norris DNF soon, it's only fair. Yes, I think McLaren should come over the radio. Papaya rules, you know. They should say, oh, Piastri's DNF'd. I think you should DNF as well. That would make it fair. Did Norris spray water on the track? Well, okay, let's put it this way. So what happened was, I think this was either just before the safety car came out and just before all of the crashes happened or just slightly after. But Norris had... Antonelli came over the radio, said Norris is driving over the curbs and spraying water over the racing line. Now, this is probably intentional. The drivers know how to avoid curbs, especially if they're going at safety car speeds. However, the one thing that I would like to point out is that this is what all of the drivers do, especially on the formation lap. The drivers drive around on some of the curbs. They evaluate the grip levels. They can feel it. You know, when they drive over a curb that's slightly more slippery or a curb that's slightly more dry, they can feel that grip level. And Norris, because the safety car is out, he was like, right, I've got a little bit of time here now to understand the grip conditions in detail about the circuit. So I'm going to drive over the curb, try and figure out, is there grip here, is there not, and then I can attack this curb if there was grip. Of course, water got sprayed onto the circuit. That was pretty clearly indicating it's a slippery curb, best to stay away. So Norris had took that bit of knowledge, and he'll be using that on his following flying laps. So I wouldn't say, you know, Lando Norris is trying to use like a Mario Kart banana strategy of like, oh, I'm going to drop some water onto the racetrack so the drivers behind me spin. Lando Norris was trying to learn about the circuit, and I think Antonelli, as a rookie, probably hasn't got as much experience in doing all of that. Okay, but yeah, race restart in 8 minutes time, folks. Will Piastri drive again? Don't think so. Also, folks, trivia question here. Someone's just typed in the chat that in 4 races' time, DRS will be a thing of the past. It will be, actually. And trivia question, which was the first Formula 1 driver to use DRS when it was first introduced back in the 2010s? Which was the first driver to use DRS in Formula 1? Quick trivia question for you guys while we're waiting. 8 minutes remain now till we get going for the race restart. It was Jenson Button. That is correct, ladies and gents. Jenson Button was the first driver to use DRS on when it was first implemented. Well, which driver do you think is going to be using MOM mode? It's manual override mode, but they've got to come up with a better name for this. If any of you guys have got any better names, then do let me know, because I'm not going to be calling it MOM mode during next season. Like, there's just no way. So if you've got any other ideas, I could just call it overtake mode, couldn't I? Because it's what, manual override mode. You could just call it overtake button, overtake mode. Yeah, go fast button, nitrous oxide, VTEC, K1. K1's a good idea. Oh, activates overdrive. Oh, that would sound awesome, wouldn't it? Max Verstappen activates overdrive to make the overtake. Oh, pretty cool. Or I could just call it DRS, to be honest, and everyone would still understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, 6 minutes and 40 seconds till we get going again, and we will have 17 laps of racing. Warp drive would be pretty cool, but I think warp drive's a bit too sort of sci-fi, isn't it? Yeah. Nah, let's not call it fan boost. Fan boost is what Formula E call it, don't they? Yeah. All right. Also, folks, track temperature is going ever so slightly up. It's up to 28 degrees Celsius. I'm going to double check the weather radar, actually. Weather radar website. Let's see. What is the weather radar saying for Interlagos right now? Because that would be... I think Ventuski is a pretty good one, isn't it? Yeah, Ventuski. All right. On my second laptop. Here we go. Sao Paulo, Interlagos. How does it know I was going to search that? I guess everyone's searching that, so that's why it was the first thing that came up. Where's the rain? Oh, here we go. Oh, folks, the rain is how many kilometers away? It is... We've got a thunderstorm approximately 4-5 kilometers away now, and the wind is blowing it in this direction, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to be able to get it up on the screen over here, but you're just going to trust me. So this let's say this point here is where the racetrack is. We've got a thunderstorm brewing, like a pretty big thunderstorm with lightning and everything, and then the wind is blowing it in this direction. With 17 laps of racing left, that's around 20 minutes or so of racing, and well, good news. We've got a thunderstorm on the way. Fantastic. Must be the water. Okay. Yeah, we're getting radio messages coming through, so let's pop that back there so you guys can actually see what the radio messages are. Alrighty then, so I'll move the championship standings as well off the side of the screen because we're not going to need that for now. We've also got 16,000 people tuned into live stream. Really do appreciate everyone tuning in. Hope you are all enjoying the coverage, and yeah, hopefully you all tune into the quali later today with well, maybe we'll have a thunderstorm for the quali later today, but definitely we'll have a very exciting race tomorrow. So yeah, be sure to tune into that one. And if you aren't subscribed, folks, be sure to do that as well. We are what, 566 subscribers away, 65 subscribers away now from 211k. All right. Yeah, brilliant. We've got a thunderstorm coming. Good news. Indeed, it is good news. Where is Hulkenberg actually going to restart? Hulkenberg is car number 27. Yeah, he's going to be starting from the back. Okay. Is 4 minutes and 17 laps enough for the rain to arrive? Well, it all depends on the wind speed here, folks. The wind speed is 8 kilometers per hour, and the thunderstorm is approximately 5 kilometers away. So if the wind speeds up, then maybe. If the wind slows down, then maybe not. We shall see. But anyone that has just tuned into live stream, we have got Oscar Piastri crashed out of the race at turn number 3 on lap number 8 of 24. 1/3 of the way through the race, he crashed out. And yeah, what can we say? That's blown the championship wide open, very much in Lando Norris's favour. And yeah, things have been going, Oscar Piastri is very much on an uphill thing. And, I think after the Dutch Grand Prix, things have just been going downhill. So hopefully he can recover, and hopefully we have a 3-way fight for the championship. But who knows really right now. Is it rolling restart? They haven't said anything about a rolling restart, which means that Most likely it will be a standing start. We shall double check though. I think what's going to happen is the drivers will be led out behind the safety car for their formation lap, and the safety car will come back into the pits, and then they'll line up on the starting grid. Or is it a rolling? No, they confirmed it on Oliver Behrman's radio as well. It's going to be a standing start. Yeah, but I will confirm when. Because Behrman said it was going to be a standing start. Someone else said it was going to be a rolling start. Race Control haven't said anything yet, so we'll just wait for Race Control's message. Wait, why is Hulkenberg going out? There's a minute left. I think he's just been given permission to go out to check if everything's working on his car. Quite interesting, but I didn't really expect that one. But Hulkenberg is driving around for some reason. Hulkenberg P1, stop the clock. Pop Lolly, thanks for joining the channel member, and really is appreciated. Okay, also, just to quickly point out, there was no sort of penalty that has been given out between Lawson and Behrman. It's going to be investigated after the sprint race. I don't know why they did that, because they could have just investigated right now. Oh, it's going to be a rolling start, folks. Rolling start. This is, this is an advantage to Lando Norris. Antonelli can't send one to the inside. Just got confirmation from the FIA. Rolling start procedure. I guess that's a little boring. Come on, you could have done a standing start. It's not that wet. Average FIA moment. Big L, big L. Any rain expected for quali? Well, I don't know. Again, it said 20% chance when I checked earlier today, but that can change as we've seen today. Yeah. Okie dokes. 10 seconds remain on the clock, ladies and gents. 10 seconds remain. Thanks for the donation as well, Kevin Wong. Also, who is going to be your driver of the day so far? We haven't had that much racing, but do any of you have a driver of the day? Everyone Gamer, please can you explain a rolling restart? What does that mean? Rolling restart is essentially just the same as a safety car restart. So the safety car will be leading. Oh, Norris is out on... Wait, what? Okay, Norris is out starting on soft. Russell and Antonelli starting on medium. So I'm guessing they're just going on to the opposite tyre. Looks like everyone's switching tyres here, actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, Leclerc switches on to the mediums. Is Hamilton going to switch on to the softs? No, Hamilton continues on a different set of mediums, actually. This is interesting, though. So the drivers that were on the softs have now switched on to the mediums. The drivers who are on the mediums have now switched on to the softs. So Antonelli will not have the launch, right at the start. He will not have all of the grip. However, towards the end of the race, on the final 17 laps or so, in the final, 3 or 4 laps, shall we say, Antonelli will have a little bit more of a pace advantage over Lando Norris. The Astri driver of the day, yeah. Interesting choice. Okay, everyone's quite spread out as well for the rolling restart. But here we are. I think Norris is going to bunch everyone up. My driver of the day. Thanks, LJ, for the donation, and we'll have to watch more. Fair enough, yeah. Do have to watch more. What happened to Piastri? He crashed. It's as simple as that, on his own. He wasn't trying to overtake anyone. He wasn't trying to do anything. He crashed on his own without anyone even near him. A rolling start is just the same as a safety car restart, folks. Same as a safety car restart. Piastri deserves driver of the day. He finishes a driver of the year. He finishes the race the fastest. Fair, yeah. All right, then. So everyone's getting bunched up there behind Lando Norris. Hulkenberg is still got a little bit of ways to go, actually. But they're all sort of waiting. Antonelli's there, right in the wings, trying to slipstream Lando Norris. Norris, of course, is going to get the power on as late as he can to ensure that he doesn't get slipstreamed down the... Oh, my goodness me, the two Mercedes are battling against each other, and one of them backs out really late. Max goes super deep, nearly onto the grass, but he just stays ahead of Alonso. Alonso now under pressure from Charles Leclerc as they go through turns number 2 and 3, and the two Mercedes are battling. Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen are battling, and Lando Lando Norris is driving off into the sunset. Verstappen still holds on to 4th position. Russell was so close to overtaking Kimi Antonelli, and well, Norris on those soft tyres is just running away with this one. Hulkenberg quickest in the first sector. That's clearly because he's got a bunch of clean air ahead of him. And yeah, here we go. Why is Alonso not overtaking Verstappen? Because Verstappen was doing some pretty good defensive work. Okay, DRS will be enabled, I think, in 2 laps' time. So I'll let you know once the message comes out. But the 2 Mercedes are fighting away, and surely they've got to chase down Lando Norris rather than fight between themselves. Because the more they fight between themselves, the more chance that Max Verstappen has to catch up, and Max will overtake both of them. He has got the top speed advantage. Oh, DRS has been enabled immediately. Okay, well, Russell's now going to try and overtake Antonelli in towards turn number 3 and 4. Wait, is their DRS? Their GPS is glitching. Just don't mind Russell's and Antonelli's GPS. It's always glitching. Nico Hulkenberg, fastest lap of the race. Great job from him. And here we go now. In towards turn number 4. The 2 Mercedes. I've got DRS. The Ferraris as well. In toward they go. And yeah, they're not battling too hard because, well, they don't want to crash into each other just yet. Maybe a little bit later on in the race. Norris has added DRS. Indeed, he is. 1.2 seconds is the gap. I mean, we'll see if there's no sort of cooperation going on from the Mercedes team radio. You can see there that Kimi Antonelli is being told, oh, the gap behind 0.7. He's got DRS and all of these things. So it's unlikely that I think they're going to work together. But Antonelli has got some pretty good pace regardless and might be able to keep Norris within DRS's reach. You know, if Norris makes a little slip up here or there, you know, gets bad traction out of one corner, Antonelli could be there. Okay. Yes, Leclerc is trying to overtake Alonso, and so is Hamilton, and so is Stroll. Lando Norris, fastest lap of the race, quickly taken away by Kimi Antonelli, who goes a few milliseconds quicker. His teammate George Russell is about a 10th slower, and Max Verstappen is 7/10 slower. What happened there? Max had a slow sector 1, 2, and 3. Just a really bad lap overall compared to George Russell. We'll see if he can close up that gap. 1.8 seconds is what it is right now. F1 Gamer, how long have you been following F1? I've been following since 2018. 2018, yeah. Not all that long in the grand scheme of things, but it has been 7 years, which is quite wild. Okay, Antonelli 1.2 seconds off the back of Norris. He's again purple in the first sector, 1/10 up against the McLaren driver. And through the middle sector, can he hang on to Norris? Norris, of course, great in these slow speed corners. That's where the McLaren excels. And the soft tyres also giving him the mechanical grip that he needs. And yeah, there you can see they're purple in the middle sector for Norris, and it's yellow for Antonelli. And that's where the McLaren really does shine. Okay. Fastest lap of the race from Norris. Does Antonelli beat it? Not on this occasion, actually. A 10th slower. Yeah. Norris has got the pace. He got pole position at the end of the day. Okie dokes. Fernando Alonso's defending, as he always is, against the 2 Ferraris. Can he stay ahead of Charles Leclerc? Let's see what he can do. 5th position right now as he goes in towards turn number 4. And Leclerc's not really able to get close to him. The track has really now started to dry up. And, well, we don't know if the rain's going to arrive yet, but there's only 13 laps remaining, which is probably only 15 minutes in total. So we'll see how that goes. Major DRS train behind Alonso. Yes, Alonso's about to turn more than half the grid into a DRS train. He's quite good at that, isn't he? He's always pretty good at defending. Okay. Antonelli. But this is the thing, folks. These soft tyres, regardless of the fact that Norris has only started using them since, lap number 8, they are still 10 laps old, and they will wear out quicker than the medium tyres. Antonelli will have more pace in the final few laps of this race, so just hang in there, and Antonelli will, at some point, approach Lando Norris's DRS. Max is not getting all that close to George Russell, to be honest. He's gained about a 10th or so on the last lap, but it's not the biggest margin. He's not gaining by a huge chunk every single lap, so pace isn't looking all that strong for Max Verstappen as of right now. And it wasn't all that strong yesterday as well. He did qualify in 6th position, didn't he? Okay. I'm going to have a quick sip of water, actually. Give me a sec. Okay. Also, the other thing, folks, I would like to know how long have you guys been following Formula One from? Ooh, okay. Norris has been told over the radio the wind is getting gustier, especially like places at turn 12. Turn 12 is a critical acceleration zone. If you have a bit of a gust of wind there, you can drift wide, you can lose traction, you lose a lot of time. And yeah, and also if the wind is getting gustier, that means that, well, the thunderstorm is getting closer, and we're just looking at Lewis Hamilton's helmet cam here, and the clouds off to the side of the circuit looking rather ominous, to say the least. So the wind getting stronger, the clouds looking more ominous. 11 laps remain, 12 minutes or 13 minutes of racing left to go. We've got a lot of people here watching from, well, someone's saying they're watching from the 1980s. I don't think that is true, But yeah, wow, we've got quite the big range actually of Formula One fans, from people that have only started watching a few years ago till Leclerc's trying to get super close. He's practically pushing Alonso through some of these corners at this point, and Leclerc's tires are going to start to overheat, and Alonso's are going to start to wear out. So it's sort of working together in a way, shall we say, and both staying extremely close to each other. Okay, I do want to ask a poll. Will Alonso keep P5? Alonso P5. Is he going to hold up a DRS train for the next 10 laps of this race? Yes or no? Because Leclerc's, he's been sat in his DRS for ages now, and 7 laps, I think, at this point, and not been able to get close. In towards turn 1 they go again. Leclerc is trying to get a really nice exit, really nice slingshot, but Alonso can do it just as good as Leclerc can, and the Aston Martin is extremely racy. We've got 23,000 people watching the stream. I did mention this a little bit earlier on, but Fernando Alonso yesterday, if he hooked up his perfect qualifying lap, sector 1, 2, and 3, he would have actually beat Lando Norris to pole position. He would have been 3 milliseconds quicker than Norris if Alonso had got sector 1, 2, 3 perfect. I think he messed up sector 2 on his flying lap, his final flying lap, but if he had got them all perfect, he would have been on pole. So some really good pace from the Astons this weekend. And, well, 55% of you think that Alonso's going to hold on to P5. I think so as well, actually. I think he's going to hold up a big train. Gasly's there on the back of Stroll as well, and Stroll trying to overtake Lewis Hamilton. Up at the front, gap 1.3 seconds. The gap between Verstappen and Russell getting bigger, actually. So it might be the top 4 stay as they are right now. So I shall put up the championship standings again. That will mean that Norris is up to 365 points. Piastri 356 points. That's 9 points behind. And then Max Verstappen gains an extra 5 points on Piastri and loses 3 to Lando Norris. All right. Bortoletto does get ahead of Isaac Hadjar. Nice to see. And all right. Here we go then. But look at this. It's sort of just 2 different leagues, really. You got Alonso holding up half the grid, and then you've got the top 4 just driving off into the distance. It's quite stark difference compared to qualifying. Qualifying was so close, but here we are in the sprint race, and the gaps have really opened up. Okay, and yeah, track temperature is still 29 degrees or so it should be fine for the Mercedes to get close. And this is the thing now, 9 laps remain, the soft tyres getting worse and worse and worse. Antonelli, of course, he'll be on the mediums that will last a little bit longer, but the problem he has is that he'll be in Lando Norris's dirty air, which will cause him to overheat and wear out a little bit more. So Antonelli, though, 1.1 seconds is the gap. Ooh, this is getting close for Antonelli against Lando Norris. One little mistake, a little bit of a twitch on the curb, and Antonelli will be there within DRS range. So, well, let's see what Antonelli can do. Norris was 2 tenths down in the first sector alone. His entry into the CNRS wasn't fantastic. Okay, why are the people in DRS range not using it? They can only use it where the track has got this dotted green line, or this dotted green line. So down the main straight and down this back straight as well. Okay. Oh, it's now 85 milliseconds. Antonelli is within DRS range, but he has got the DRS detection point is on the exit of turn number 12. Okay, so let's see here, folks. Here it is. Norris crosses the line. Oh, he's 29 milliseconds back. 29 milliseconds, so close. Norris comes over the radio. I'm struggling with the rear tyres. I'm not surprised, you are, Lando Norris. The softs wear out so quickly. There are 7 laps remaining, and Antonelli didn't get DRS on the previous zone, but here, passing through the detection point, he does get DRS. Oh, yeah, he does get DRS. And, well, game on, ladies and gentlemen. Lando Norris versus Kimi Antonelli for the race lead here in Sao Paulo. Fernando Alonso still holding up Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's not making a move to the inside here. I know, I mean, he should probably send a dive bomb, but again, it's going to result in probable contact and then one of the drivers going off the track and then a penalty getting given out. So it doesn't make that much sense, especially with the sprint 3 hours away. Don't want to be risking too much damage to the car. That could be a serious problem for anyone that does have a major crash. Maybe if they damage the engine of their car, or maybe, if they damage the engine or the gearbox part of their car, that could be serious trouble. We'll see how that goes, though. But Colapinto and Piastri are fine to take part in quali later today. Kimi, again, has lost DRS range, actually. Through the middle sector, the McLarens are strong, and Norris will have been told now over the radio what he can do to manage the rear tyres. Probably shift the brake balance forwards a little bit, turn down the engine braking as well. That will help keep the rear tyres sort of put a little bit less load on them. And then also, he'll probably change some diff settings and short shift a little bit more. There's lots of different little things that Norris can do to make sure that his tyres last to the end. But Antonelli will be gaining, and his tyres will be getting quicker and quicker. 6 laps remain, ladies and gents. All right. Fernando Alonso is faster than you. Yes, Alonso is faster than you. And he's there in 5th place. He's on the soft tyres. He's managing to hold on. And his soft tyres are 5 laps fresher than Charles Leclerc's mediums. So that's probably helping him out a little bit. But, of course, we do know that Fernando Alonso knows how to defend at a racetrack. So we'll see how it goes. But Antonelli's got 1 lap fresher tyres than Norris compared to Alonso having 5 lap fresher tyres, and he's defending. So the advantage is in Antonelli's favour. Will he be able to capitalise, though? Again, the gap is 1.1. Norris is doing a brilliant job holding it at 1.1. But how long can he do that? 5 laps to go now. 20 kilometres more of racing. 8 points for the race win, 7 points for second place, and 6 points for third, and so on and so forth. Antonelli gets DRS on the second occasion now. He gains, what's that? Probably 2/10 for free going in towards turn number 4. Yeah, 2/10 of free lap time. Now the question is, look, he's going through the second sector. The track, he's going to feel the effects of dirty air, but he has to stay within the 1 second window. Going through turns number 7 and 8, how much time does he lose? He loses only 1 millisecond. Very nice job there from Antonelli. And now through turns number 8 and 9, he's staying with Lando Norris. This is looking good for Antonelli. He's now got 2 corners left to go. Half a second is the gap. Norris is struggling. Antonelli's there. This could be it. I don't know how much battery Norris has got, but Antonelli certainly will have his charged up. DRS activated. Norris gets a good exit out of 12. That saves him just a little bit. Currently 7/10 is the gap as they go down in towards turn number 1. And look at that, how much they go onto the brakes at turn number 1. He gains 4/10 for free. And now as they go in towards turn number 4, he's going to gain another 2/10 for free. Antonelli is really heating up this battle now. And, well, these medium tyres are looking a lot better than the softs with 4 laps left to go. Ooh, is Antonelli going to send a ridiculous move down the inside? He's done it before. He might do it again. Why not take a sprint race win? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much Mercedes do want to win the Constructors' do want to get second place in the Constructors' Championship ahead of Ferrari, which they'll be doing considering they're scoring quite a few more points than him, well, right now, and we'll see what happens in the next couple of races. The Ferraris are still stuck behind Fernando Alonso. I mean, huge props to Alonso there, great defensive driving, and Norris is going to have to embody Fernando Alonso a little bit because Antonelli is hot on his tail. Yeah, Charles is just burning up his tyres behind Alonso. He is. Alonso knows that as well. Leclerc may have the medium tyres that are more durable, but if Alonso's got 8 seconds worth of clean air ahead of him and Leclerc's got no clean air ahead of him, then, someone's tyres is probably going to last a little bit longer. All right, Antonelli looking good through turn number 1, but they're taking slightly different lines here, and Norris is getting better exits through the center S. 3 laps to go, and Antonelli is 6/10 back as they head towards turn number 4. Okay. At this point now, also, the curbs are starting to dry up a little bit, so the drivers can take a little bit of risk and go out onto the curbs. Through the middle sector, we've seen some mistakes, not only from Norris, but also from Antonelli and a few other drivers as well. So they'll be trying to keep those mistakes to a minimum. Antonelli bouncing over the curbs a little bit and actually hugging the inside line much better than Lando Norris. So good job there from Antonelli, but still a little squeamish on the throttle, little twitches here and there aren't helping his cause. All right. 3 laps left of this race. Going through turn number 12, look at that gap. It's quite big, actually. 8.5 tenths. Lando Norris gets some very, very good drive out of turn number 12. And Antonelli suffering from the same issues that Charles Leclerc is. Leclerc does get ahead of Fernando Alonso, actually. Finally does it. And, but Leclerc was struggling with his tyres being overheated so much. And he finally gets ahead of Alonso and has already pulled out a 1.5 second gap. Alonso now defending against Lewis Hamilton, his former teammate. I don't think Alonso is going to let Hamilton by. But actually, going in towards turn number 1, we'll see what happens. Hamilton gets pretty close, and I think Alonso's tyres are wearing out now. He still had a bunch of clean air, but 18 laps on those softs is killer. Verstappen purple in the first sector. Don't know what he's trying to do now. There's only 2 laps remaining. And here they go in towards turn 4. Hamilton too far back to get a move done on Alonso. Okay, this is the penultimate lap of the race, folks. Penultimate lap of the race. And, here we go. Lando Norris versus Kimi Antonelli. 9 tenths is the gap. He has got he's got 2 overtaking opportunities left. Down in towards turn number 1, down into turn 4, and then potentially a slipstream to the line if he can pull that one off. So let's see. DRS enabled. Antonelli is gaining and gaining and gaining. Oh, look at that line. Antonelli's trying to get as good as an exit as he can. Norris all over the curbs, trying to open up the corner. And it's the final lap of the race. And Antonelli, unfortunately, a little bit too far back as they go towards turn number 4. Can he get the move done? No, he cannot. Too far back for Antonelli. So unless Norris makes a mistake now in the middle sector, it's going to be Norris winning this race. However, a mistake on the final lap in Brazil is something that we have seen before. So let's not count that out. Here they go through turn number 8 and 9. Norris staying well away from the curbs now. Oh, yellow flag. What's this? Bortoleto. And Bortoleto has brought out the yellow flag in towards turn number 1. Don't bring out the safety car. Come on, just go to the end of the race. Bortoleto's crashed at the same place where Piastri crashed earlier in the race. 6 tenths is the gap, and it's Mercedes power versus Mercedes power, McLaren package versus the Mercedes team, and Lando Norris, great drive out of the final corner. Does he slow down for the yellow flags? Yes, he does. No overtaking is completed. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Lando Norris wins the sprint here in Brazil, and gains an extra 8 points on his championship rival, Oscar Piastri, as he crashes out of the race. Kimi Antonelli in second position, George Russell in third, Max Verstappen in fourth place. Charles Leclerc in fifth, Alonso in sixth, Hamilton in seventh, Gasly in eighth, and those are our points scoring positions. Okie dokes, folks. So what I'm going to do now is the quali stream is up on the channel page. I know a lot of you folks won't be interested in watching quali, so I'm also going to pop a link to the race stream that's happening tomorrow, and hopefully you guys can tune into that one. And quite the exciting Grand Prix that we've had. Of course, not ideal there for Piastri, but we'll see if he can bounce back. You know, that's going to be the challenge. So we'll see how that goes. Race stream here. Hope you have all enjoyed the coverage. Hope these L's in the chat aren't for me. I think my commentary is all right now. I didn't say like Mexican Grand Prix. I did say Brazilian Grand Prix, I think. But yeah, there's a link to the race stream, so be sure to tune into that one. And qualifying happening later today, as you can see, 3 hours, and it's in 3 hours' time. The stream starts in 2 hours and 30 minutes. But that's been the race, folks. Yeah, that has been the sprint race here in Brazil. Okay. So yeah, I think that's all from me. Hopefully you have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night. Qualifying still will be pretty exciting. Everyone's going to change their setups a little bit, and we'll see who ends up on pole position. Still, I think Fernando Alonso might be able to do it because he had a very good lap yesterday. But who knows? And I shall see you all either tomorrow for the race, or I'll see you in 2.5 hours for the for qualifying. The standings are up here on the screen. You can see that Lando Norris is 365 points. Oscar Piastri is 357. Wait, let me just zoom in. There we go. So you can see that there. And that is all from me, folks. So I shall see you very, very soon. Can you hit the like button on the quali stream as well? It really helps out the channel. And if you can hit the like button on the race stream, would very much be appreciated. So, yeah. I'll see you very, very soon, folks. Bye-bye.